Travis Wayne Goodsell. At the end of this 2-hour video, I learned about the Tau Cancrids that are supposedly tonight, and sure enough they are. They're just so small that they don't show up as the other falling stars. And so I'm going to put this at the beginning of the video for you, because I'm going to have to now redo the chart to include tonight with this event. And so in the context that I've gone over with you, today is the Jewish 9/11, as I'll get into. And so tonight, the 12th and the 13th, I'll have to do a separate line, which means I'll have to somehow scrunch them closer together and figure something out here. Because it doesn't fit. Although I could expand the size of the... Yeah, that might be the way to do it. That'll work. Okay. And so, yeah, this is just intense. The Tau Cancrids by Mars, which is Nelson, as I explained in the video for you. Falling stars. To have all this set up in order. And so, yeah, I mean, this is just incredibly awesome what I am going over with you. And to have it not happen, as Joseph Smith, as I drop the bombshell yet again for you, is involved in this for this month, this time, is just incredibly awesome. And so for Mormons to ignore me, you do so at your own risk. You didn't bother to study, you don't know the information, and so why are you just going to assume it must be wrong? I don't understand that level of stupidity, because this is just incredibly awesome. And so the missing portion is going to be after the 12th of December, in which I cover the religious Jewish 9th month, with the 11th day of the month being 9/11 for the religious calendar of the Jews, with a waxing moon in Aries. And then tonight into tomorrow, the peak, Tau Cancrids, where Mars is. So then the Geminid meteor showers are tomorrow night into the 14th. That peak, again, near Mars. And then you have the Leonid meteor showers near Mars on the 17th and the 18th. Mormons, wake up! This is not a dream, it's not a nightmare, it's real. Ignore me at your own risk. So let's proceed. Get your popcorn and Mountain Dew.
You are magnifying this problem by becoming pornography.
Travis Wayne Goodsall. I had an initial introduction planned for you, and after seeing this morning that Idaho Chick sent me a comment and a link about the prophecy of George Albert Smith, I'll save that intro for that video because it's more applicable. So instead, we'll use a dumbass who commented also for the intro into this video with a new pretty picture that I made last night from information that I obtained yesterday. It's a comment on Danite Mormon Samson and his Salt Lake Temple wedding feast to his second wife. ... Something like that. I don't memorize even my own stuff. But I have associative memory. And apparently, the 70 who are in the Strengthening Church Members Committee, they keep forgetting that I have associative memory, that I remember everything. All they had to do was tell Nelson this, because Nelson has good memory recall as well, and so he then would know not to keep ordering them to attack me in the same manner and expecting a different result. So anyway, Mormon News Roundup. For some reason, he subscribed to me. This is the first time I've seen him. And so as far as I know, this is the only video he's come to. And he has an AI photo for his thumbnail picture. You are remembering to put that your video content is AI. He says, "You are one sick and messed up dude." So yeah, he got reported. That is a hate comment. And by extension, a death threat, because he's assuming that I'm mentally retarded and need the dangerous psychologist for treatment. They're involved in abuses, in case you hadn't been watching the news all this year. So anyway, we'll save some of those comments for the introduction to George Albert Smith's Prophecy. But Mormon News Roundup has a channel. He's presenting himself as a holy angel with wings. Moroni didn't need wings. I refer you to the movie Dogma. Oh wait, it's rated R. You're afraid to watch it. And so, listen to his about from his channel. I did research on him. I wasn't hasty in banning him. I wanted to find out who he is, where he's coming from, and found out and then reported him. Because he's an evil person. And guess who taught him this? See if you can figure out who taught him to be evil. Pay attention to his about. He reveals it to you. Join us for the weekly Mormon, not capitalized, News Roundup. And he's using Mormon too. Where we will ruminate on the great and spacious beehive. This entertaining weekly podcast is designed to be appealing to both faithful members, former members, and never members, but not ex-members, I guess. It's not catching on yet. I'm the one who came up with it. X, yes, not me, but FOMOs. That's me. FOMOs. Me. And so he says former members, but not faux members. FOMOs. Former Mormons. And so he leaves out ex-Mormons. He classifies them as former. And according to the lawsuit by the former member who asked to have his name removed and they didn't remove it, you always are a member, even if you think you've left the church and were excommunicated. You never leave. You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. That was a brilliant song from them. And they were just doing it to do it. The brilliance of the Eagles. We comb the internet every week to bring you the LDS-related news. Appealing to faithful members? He doesn't even say the name of the church. You can just find, you just can't find anywhere else. And he found me. Your humble host. If you have to say you're humble, you're not. And you hear this in Mormon prayer after Mormon prayer after Mormon prayer. It's in a number of the rote prayers. I think number 3, 7, 16, 22 and 23, 27, 31, 2, 3, 4, and 5, 64. We humbly say this in the name of hilarious. Dives is gonna blow your mind. Your humble host Dives is gonna blow your mind. That's your name? Dear God. And so listen, we're not done yet. There's more. Please consider making a donation by joining our Patreon. So he does a porn channel too? And then he has email. And it's Kolob. New episodes daily at 9:30 p.m. And that was about the time that he did it. Made my comment. He was scrolling around looking for something to talk about. Please like and subscribe and hit the notifications bell. Remember. Did I say remember? No unhallowed hand can stop this podcast from progressing. Oops! Except your own dumbassery. Consequences, which will be a major focus in the intro in George Albert Smith prophecy. Where did he learn to practice priestcraft? News, is it? No, it's news based on the religion. I do not do this for a price. I don't ask you for money. All of this is for free. That's why I do it here. And I'm having to deal with YouTube's harassment and abuse. And yet guys like this get promoted and escalated by YouTube. By YouTube. For example, his homepage video, which was 3 days ago, only has, wow, okay, so he kind of sucks. He doesn't suck as bad as I do, but he's not being attacked by YouTube or the Strengthening Church Members Committee. But they need to be notified of him. Guys, I know you're listening. Don't think you're hiding now and lying in wait until you think I've forgotten, because you've forgotten that I have associative memory and I never forget. I know you're watching. I see the thumbs down still. But nonetheless, only 741 in 3 days. Dear God. Unbelievable. Why the Mormon Church is experiencing significant growth in Africa. It doesn't matter about growth. Retention is what you need to pay attention to. Can the church retain the growth in Africa? And all of south of the border tells us no, they won't. Alrighty, so let's get to the other one. So, this is the end of the world. We're all going to die. You chose to be bad, whether you get covered in the news or not. So you're all going to die. Just Idaho chick will be all alone with her family. Whether or not her husband believes her, that's another issue with them that they can deal with. I don't want to get involved. But nonetheless, this month is the month of Kislev. It's the 9th Jewish month of the religious calendar. And so you flip it around, it would be the 3rd civil month. But there's some prophecies related to the religion for the latter days. And this is the final 4 that we're waiting for the religion. The civil government has already happened. We know exactly the final 4 that they have done and will continue to do to complete it. And on the bus this morning, which is why this video is late, the majority of the people that I saw on the bus are scheduled to be kicked out of not only the state of Utah, but the country when the first day of January 21st occurs. Don't believe at your own risk. There are consequences. We'll get more into that with the George Albert Smith intro. I'm trying to regulate my Mountain Dew intake to make it last throughout the month. Kroger is getting screwed over, and it's going to get worse, right? If you know anything about the news that's going on right now. And so, yeah, I love Mountain Dew. It does not affect me like it does everybody else because of the caffeine. Though I would prefer the Canadian version without caffeine. It has a little hint of orange juice in it. But nonetheless, they don't want to sell it here in America for some reason. I guess they couldn't sell it. I don't know why. But regardless, if I were, this would be the intro for the next one. If I had my choice and it were, Mountain Dew is cheap compared to cran raspberry juice. I would love to be able to drink that all day long. It's too expensive. And so I can't afford healthy food. And so I love Mountain Dew, I love sugar, I love salt. Thus, great. Works for me. But nonetheless, they were adjusting the prices to force me to pay more or go to another volume amount of Mountain Dew. And I'm not happy that they're doing that, because it was after 2020 that they began doing that to us as customers. They began screwing us over, telling us what we need to buy rather than basing it on what we purchase. And that's what I used to see way back in the beginning, is that when I purchase something, the next time I go grocery shopping, it's on sale for those who are members. And even on occasion, they would have that same product on a super sale, buy 5 for the low, cheap price. And so Kroger was awesome. And then something happened in 2020, right, Oaks? And then they began screwing over their customers as prices began to skyrocket at the grocery store. And and so now they no longer appeal to our choice of products. They're doing it like they did with coupons when coupons first came rolling out in the magazine or in the newspapers on Sunday. They're trying to get you to purchase their products that are still too expensive despite the 3 cents off coupon. But at least a penny back then could still buy a little candy thing if you bought it individually. Dear God, I've lived too long. I have seen too much. I need to sleep the rest of my life away. So, today is 9/11 in a Jewish religious calendar. 9th month, 11th day, even though it's the 12th day for December, which is the 12th month despite it being called December, which means the 10th month. Illiterate Pope made the change. He was just incapable of adding the new stuff into a place where it wouldn't screw up septem, octem, novem, decem. Christianity causes stupidity. And so, as you've already seen, and I'm hoping that I'll remember to make it for 2 minutes for you to look at and read. Yeah, I know you gotta read. You come to YouTube videos not to read. But it's important. See, these are like facsimiles from Egypt. Egyptian hieroglyphs. You've got the big pictures. Ooh. And they're porn, banned on YouTube. And you've got text. Those were the original memes. The original comic strips. And so I learned yesterday about some signs in the heavens in the coming day. Literally in the coming day. Not Nelson's botched prophecy and revelation of Jesus' second coming. of which Oakes tried to bail him out on Sunday. Oh my God. You know you're in a false church when dear God. And so it was included in this. And so I've got it color-coded for you. Blue is for biblical. Notice that purple is for historical. Notice biblical is not purple for historical. And then stellar is yellow. And so you'll also notice that there's red. Those are specifically highlighted for you to pay attention to. And for those of you who've been following me, and not some Mormon news reporter who's practicing priestcraft, the church does it, why not me? Sounds like a great idea. Even the first presidency's statement on the disposition of finances. He says we follow the parable of the talents from Matthew 25. And then says, we, the church and Mormons, follow that practice. Mormons don't. You take Mormons' money to hoard it. You're burying the talent in the ground as you're stealing the other guy's talents that they received. So that when Jesus comes, you dig them up from the ground that you hid them from with all of the stolen talents from the other two guys, and you give them to Jesus. There you go. Well done. I only gave you one, and now you've got 5 and 3. Was it, or was it 2? We'll say 2. I could look it up, but we'll just say 2. So 7 plus 8. 8 talents. Wow, that's so awesome. What about you guys? Well, we were robbed. Oh, that sucks to be you. No good Samaritan for you, huh? Hilarious. So, moving on. So 9/11 is today. I've got pretty pictures of the stellarium for you, and signs in the heavens of the Urim and Thummim. And we should probably do them as we do them. So I'll have to bring up another one, but they're in order, so it's okay. And Windows doesn't like customers. They too are being attacked by the government, and so they're blaming it on customers, because that'll fix them. Alright, so first, read it. Today is the Jewish religious 9th month and the 11th day, 9/11. 9/11 has significance in Judaism because on both 9th Av, which is 9/11, which is a reverse day first, then month, rather than day first, or month first, and then day, as this one is. And I went over that with you with the 4 books of the Torah, in which the different authors selected either to put month first or day first as a consistent linguistic pattern throughout their books. And God, probably should bring that up, because this is 9th month, so this is month first. Oli Otentroplia. If you've never taken an anatomy class, you may not understand what I just said. You may think it's porn. No, that is not it. There it is. That's with Alma 16, and I thought I revised this, and it could be that one, but I've got it up on the screen here, so we'll just use it. So the ones that are month first are Genesis, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy, the law. Okay? So this is important to understand, that this Jewish calendar is adhering to Genesis, Leviticus, and Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy is the law that prophesies of the coming of the Jewish Christ, whom Joseph Smith said would be a Mormon. And that Mormon news reporter didn't want to believe it. He heard something that nobody else is hearing because YouTube is silencing my channel. He still doesn't believe Joseph Smith or the Book of Mormon. Amazing how much of a hypocrite he is. Okay? So understand that this is a law day for 9/11 for the religion. And so thus the other stuff that we're going to be going over likewise has to do with it. And so this morning we have a pretty picture of the waxing moon in the sacrificial ram-lamb constellation, where the sign in the heavens for the story prophecy of Abraham sacrificing Isaac in Utah, top of the mountains. And Malachi appears, says, "Well done, let's eat." Provides a ram. Even though Isaac is saying, going up the hill, "Where's the lamb?" Then a ram is provided. Hilarious. And so yes, that's the first pretty picture. The moon is in Aries on the religious 9/11. This is the sacrifice constellation, where those who go in to make and keep their covenant paths of penalties. Hilarious. Hilarious. Okay, so the next one will be on the 14th. So I'm eagerly excited for today. I wonder what will happen. I don't know. We'll see. There's other stuff to happen too. But Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. Signs in the heavens in the likeness of things on the earth. Things on the earth are prophecies. It has to have a sign in the heavens, a day and hour, revelation. Otherwise, it's worthless. You got to have them both together, or people may get confused when some abominable, all wrong, corrupt religion gets created and turns it into literal history. And so, yeah, the Geminid meteors peak on the 13th and 14th, tomorrow night. Dun 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 dun. Meteor showers are falling stars that the ancient Egyptians portrayed as inverted pentagrams. That's why in Isaiah, the author of Isaiah put, "How art thou fallen from heaven, son of the morning." And it's the Latin Vulgate that put in Lucifer. And somehow it ended up in the Book of Mormon. Interesting. Interesting. Alrighty. So, this pretty picture has Mars no, I do have it. Okay, yeah, all right, good. We're good. We're good. We're good. Good, good, good. So the Geminids are west, even though I put south. Below, I think I put Mars. Now, in case you're new and you don't know how to identify the prophetic characters from the signs in the heavens, Mars is the one who took over after the death of Monson on January 2nd. Yes, we get to talk about that again too. And so Mars is Nelson, because he was at the top of the scales of Libra when Monson died. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you're way behind. Prophecy, revelation, things on earth portrayed in the heavens. That's why nobody understood what I meant with the thumbnail picture for Sunday on Oaks. He was the fulfillment of prophecy from the sign in the heavens that was given. It wasn't me. I don't rig the heavens. And so it's interesting. It means that Oaks is represented as Venus, which would then presuppose that Irene would be Mercury under the religious interpretation, because under the government interpretation, Mercury is Trump. Always has been, since Hillary conceded. Mercury was at the top of the scales of Libra. And so, very curious. And it always seems to be that the Saturn is the president of the Quorum of the 12. But we have very little to go on with that. Not too little. We got two. And both of them seem to be Saturn. So interesting. Holland, if you're listening, from the Strengthening Church Members Committee, remember before when you had that little heart problem? Are you sitting down this time? So, alrighty. And then setting up for the next one, which is the full moon. But we have something else first, right? So, Geminid meteor showers are falling stars. And with the religion, we're looking at the fall in relation to the curse of Joseph Smith. They shouldn't have messed with Joseph Smith, but they didn't care about the consequences. They thought they could get away with it. Nope, not at all. So we're waiting for the religion. And today starts it off with 9/11. I'm trying to warn the prophets. Repent and confess, guys. Make restitution. You still have time. Barely. In the coming day. Barely. Hurry. Confess. Make restitution. Transfer it all. Let us go free. Hurry. They won't do it. They won't do it. They will never confess. They will never tell the truth. They will never do the right thing and let us go build Zion. They will have to be compelled to. So that's what I'm very curious about, is who's going to do it, or what's going to do it. Because the curse of Joseph Smith is a what, not necessarily a who. That was just wild when I ran that test. Every single one with additional prophets here and there, like Bruce R. McConkie and James E. Faust. Hilarious. Okay, so that is tomorrow night, the Geminids. And if you don't understand about the Geminids and their ancient history, or Greek history, which would be classical period, the brother where the Geminids are falling from is the one who dies. The other brother is the immortal one who resurrects the dead brother. And so in the context of the Jewish messiahs, Joseph Smith is the one who is dead, and the Christ who comes after him as a Mormon to resurrect Joseph Smith's religion, setting in order the temple, stopping the practice of prostituting Mormon women, is the other one. They are related. Technically, they're cousins, because it's through Hiram is the future Mormon. And so the George Albert Smith thing is of interest because of this, the prophecy. But we'll get into it. We'll show you how to do research, to run the tests, because that's what I did for Joseph Fielding Smith in The Way to Perfection, is because he also talked about saying that there will come a time where the church will be so rich that we'll stop Mormons from paying tithing. Crap. I noticed the camera was doing some flashing stuff for a number of minutes, but dear God. It's not my fault you guys are evil. Not my fault. I'm trying to save you, and you still won't listen. So, on the 15th, which is the day after the Geminid meteor showers, the full moon occurs. Normally this happens every month, so why would I care? But this is significant because of this particular month and the significance of religion of this particular month. And so the moon, for the Egyptians, is religion. And so it is at the top of the horn of Taurus, the Apis bull of Egypt, for the transfer of authority. So yes, today is the fall 15th, the announcement of the transfer of authority. But in the likeness of things on the earth, we're waiting. There's still some more stuff that's coming up. And so this could just be an announcement of the coming of the transfer, as it also is announcing that therefore there is a coming of a fall, as today is a reminder of the fall. But I'm paying very close attention today, just in case. I'm overly anxious, been waiting far too long, covering all of this for you for free. As the Strengthening Family or Strengthening Church Members Committee has been trying to hurt me, stealing my property, stealing my money, and trying to murder me, to keep you from learning this information. It's cyber attacked. Okay, and so Jupiter has been retrograding between the horns of Taurus. It's time for the transfer. That's why Revelation chapter 12, verses 1, 2, and 5 is the birth of Jupiter, because he retrograded in Virgo for a pregnancy period. The Jews know what they're doing when they're talking about a birth. But it's not the birth of the Christ. It was the start of his ministry on the 23rd of September 2017. The one and only time it could be. And so it was not during the Roman period. The Roman period had other signs that throw a monkey wrench into the whole system and cogging the works and exposing the Holy Roman Empire as false. And yet 4 billion people on the earth today are blinded with illiteracy because of it. Cannot see this. As simple as it is, as scientific as it is. It's just as wild. Because the astronomy part, I get. I can see how people from 1 million years ago can know of this. Simply by knowing the earth and observing the heavens, as we have done in modern times to figure all this out. They could do it too. And so thus, but to turn them into the specific characters, whether animal, object, or human, or deity human, is just mind-boggling, because those are prophecies of the revelations. And it's just wild how accurate they were and are and will be to come. And so yes, Jupiter is the Christ of Mormons. You need to run the test. Hurry. Maybe the Mormon news reporter can figure it out in time. No, he won't. He's in denial of it. Ain't gonna happen. Oh no, what was he gonna do? Okay. And so full moons are something to pay attention to with the sign in the heavens. Is because these are when you get lunar eclipses, is during a full moon. New moons occur with solar eclipses. And so thus full and new moons can have significance with revelation, and thus the prophecies that come from them. So that's why it's important to pay attention to full and new moons. That's why I pointed it out and put it on this little chart for you, because it has to do with the transfer of authority. And so even though it's blowing the trumpet, the shofar horn, nevertheless and notwithstanding, pay very close attention. Ignore me at your own risk, which will be part of the theme for the introduction of George Albert Smith's Prophecies. Prophecy, I guess. Haven't even read it. I did obtain it. I linked Idaho Chick to it because I'd prefer that form rather than somebody else's video talking about the document like I'm going to do. Because other people are not experts in the field. They don't know what they're talking about. And so as good-minded as the other person is, for at least I would hope reading it, but any commentary they would give, and I'm not going to listen to it, it's worthless. They don't know that this church is false. They don't understand that Joseph Smith was framed and blamed by Brigham Young. They don't understand the abomination of desolation that occurred on the 16th in 167. See, I transitioned. 167 BCE, the Greeks. This is historical, even though it's also biblical, even though the Jews don't want that biblical reference because of the Christian tampering. But 167 BCE, the Greeks took over Jerusalem and took over the Jerusalem temple and destroyed the altar. And 10 days later would begin to offer the forbidden rituals of pig sacrifices and the practice of prostituting females, so that temple marriages are no longer free with a lay ministry. You now have to pay the church in order to get married, and that is prostitution. Right, Chief Brown, Governor Cox, AG-elect Brown, and others, like the Diazevedo girls. Yep, Mormons don't see that they are being held in bondage and being victims of crime and being forced to commit crimes. Mormon boys are forced to pay the prostitution price to only have sex with women. And you don't understand. When we are forced to pay tithing at 8 years of old when we get baptized, we are being told that we have to pay tithing and told we are not allowed to have any kind of sexual thinking, feeling, or actions. No sexual thoughts, no sexual feelings, no sexual contact. So that we then are pure and worthy for when the money is used for actually getting a woman to finally have sex with her, and only her. Not some other religious person to get married by a bishop. Nope, only for the temple. That is where it ends. That's the whole point and purpose of this church. It's a criminal operation compromising you with sex, just like the Russians do with their Russian little honeypots. So cute. And very deadly. And so yes, many of a person is compromised with in Russia as the government sets up camera systems in people's places of residence and send over the honeypots to get the P-tapes. And in Marriott's hotels, the government will place the cameras in those too. Right, Marriott? He's Mormon. He did not leave Russia. He stayed. It's because the church made a deal with Russia. Mormons follow the example of their leaders, even though they don't obey them. Only for the committing of the crimes of the leaders do Mormons obey. Right? Mormon news from Priestcraft. And so the Jews called this the abomination of desolation. Notice it's not a nuclear holocaust, or they that come shall burn you. Yeah, that has to do with Christian interpretation. The Christians, i.e. the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, are going to be the ones to cause it. They are going to cause a Holocaust to destroy mankind. That is what Malachi is warning. The day shall come that shall burn as an oven. And so Elijah, about fathers and sons, has to do with the human race continuing to exist. And it will only be in Zion. We must get to Zion. This must be fulfilled. We are told in prophecy that everything will be fulfilled. And this is the only thing left. And it's driving me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. They put me in a padded room. It drove me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. Dr. Demento, wasn't it? Or was it SNL? But, dear God. So the 18th. Did we get the right picture? We did not. There we go. On the evening of the 17th into the 18th is the Leonid meteors that peak. Now they're to the east of Mars, above Mars. And Mars is now in conjunction with that full moon that is now waning. Bye-bye, Nelson. Bye-bye. The Curse of Joseph Smith. Notice the Leonids are the lion, the symbol of Utah. Phonetically the same as Judah. Phonetically the same, transliterated into Greek as Judas. The betrayers of fellow brethren. Right, Mormons? Okay. And so this is very cool in a scary kind of way. The December Leonid meteors are in the minor bear, the bear cub, just on the back of Leo the lion. And the moon is there in conjunction with Mars, which is in the Crab constellation. And is the Beehive cluster... Yeah, the Beehive cluster is also there in conjunction, as it's to the left, you can barely see it from the picture that you'll be shown. I had to blow it up to see the crab cluster. And not all of them are being made visible here. But yeah, it has a beehive cluster contained within it. And so the crab is the one that is comparable to the serpent biting the heel and attacking, depending on which culture, whether Roman, Greek, Egyptian, that you're referring to. Because you've got Achilles, you've got Hercules that is involved, you've got the Egyptians, the Scorpion King, and so forth and so on. But you also have the biblical connection that this is what you need to pay attention to, because this is religion. Where Adam and Eve have fallen, even though it was just Adam. But that strengthening church members committee, no, Travis, it's going against the prophets. Take it down. We're telling on your bishop. You don't believe in Joseph, do you? You're members of the 70, are you? And you're fooling Mormons, huh? Yeah. And so, this is the serpent that bites the heel, but gets its head crushed. This is what you need to pay attention for the fulfillment, as this whole month is this theme. 9/11, and the full moon for the transfer of authority, the Geminid meteor showers for the brother that dies, and the transfer with the resurrection. Yeah, all of these are similar in their theme for this month. This is why it's so important, why I'm doing the video, despite getting cyber attacked. Okay? So, the crushing of the head of the serpent by the Christ, Jupiter. And I don't see how he could do it himself. Curse of Joseph Smith, he wasn't responsible for all of the previous ones. Why would he then be expected to be the cause of Nelson? Nope, not the case. And so this is where you need to understand Alma chapter 3, where after discussing the Amlicites who became apostate, anti-Mormon, anti-Christ Korahors and left the Nephites to join the Lamanites, and then instead of turning black skin, they turned into redskins. Marking themselves in the forehead with the beast. Don't turn the Book of Mormon into literal history. It makes for great comedy, but there are some people whose feelings will get hurt. And you'll be exposed as a racist, anti-Semitic hater. Bigot. And so the author, not literal history, so it's Sidney Rigdon, steps in. It could be Oliver Cowdery. He was in Alma 32. But nonetheless, you have him talking about needing to explain something at this point, in which the reader needs to understand that God didn't curse the Amlicites, and thus not the Lamanites either. That people and their actions have consequences. That people bring upon themselves their own curse. That's for the Hebrew, or George Albert Smith, introduction, is that there are consequences, Mormons. You're not free to believe whatever you want. You're not free to not test the living prophets of Jesus and then emulate them with priestcraft and prostitution and sex trafficking and pyramid schemes and all kinds of murders and thefts and abuses on other Mormons, on not just other people. You got screwed up because you didn't believe in the Book of Mormon. You don't believe Joseph Smith. You lie when you say you do. There are consequences. You cannot escape those consequences. Okay? And so, on the 21st, we now have a biblical thing. The biblical thing is not literal history. Ezra chapter 9, Ezra gives a sermon. No interfaith, no prostitution with the Greeks, the Greek temple workers, despite being so cute. In marriages, don't do it. I am kind of curious what's going to happen, because every Mormon marriage is illegal. Nobody has authority to marry you. The church has been frauding the government. And so every single marriage by a sealer is illegal and would instantly be dissolved. And so now, if this were to actually be enforced, all of you who are now instantly no longer married, thus cannot get divorced. So that may solve some of your problems. Some of my viewers who are out there in the process of getting divorced. Because if this does happen, as it should, according to the laws of the land, all of our marriages will already be null and void. They were illegally obtained. And so then the government, most likely in those situations, would notify the members that your marriages are no longer valid. Please go to your courthouse if you wish to be married again through somebody properly authorized by the laws of the land to do a marriage. And so this is your opportunity to run. Or show that you really do love each other. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Blech. Everybody's having fun with me. And so, yeah, no more polygamy, because the church doesn't allow and accept divorces. They will not do it. You have to get sealing cancellations until you get approved for a divorce. So thus, those of us who have been divorced or annulled, the wife, the ex, is still sealed to us until she or we try to get married again. Well, she tries to get married again and has to get your permission for the sealing cancellation. No more. If the government would finally do their job, which is not likely, that would be the chaos that would ensue. Because this is what happened when the church got busted by the United States in 1887 with the Edmunds-Tucker Act being implemented. All marriages of polygamy were instantly dissolved as illegal. I think the government allowed the first wife marriage to be accepted and approved. But all of the other women, no, they were instantly rendered without somebody to care for them. Their marriages were no longer valid. So yeah, there was some problems with this because of the crimes that were performed by Brigham Young and John Taylor succeeding him. There are consequences. And so yes, I'm very curious if the fulfillment happens and how it will happen, because our marriages are all illegal, and so it's got to stop. So maybe the government will just say your marriages will still count, but you're no longer paying the church, so therefore it's now legal. But it's not logical. Begging the question, circular fallacy, affirming the consequences, whatever fallacy it is, it doesn't work logically. It means that this church had no authority to marry, as it was all a criminal operation. So I don't know how it would be resolved other than all marriages are dissolved. The United States has no problem with people living together out of marriage. And so I can see that being the case. And then saying that if you would like to get officially married through proper authority, please see your justice at the civil place, because it's a building. I don't know if I'm not sure how it would be if you were to get a civil marriage. If you just go to the one office on State Street, or is it Main Street? I think it was State Street. Pay the money and say you'd like to get married, and they have justices of the peace there to do the marriage for you, or you make arrangements to get it done, or because I don't think you'd go through the courthouse, but I don't know. I've never done that. I've only taken our sealing document to that place on State Street. But anyway. And so, yeah, this will have to be stopped, because you can't have crimes in Zion. You need to be purged and purified to go to Zion. The separation of the wheat and the tares, the wheat from the chaff, the sheep from the goats. Nelson's been doing the best he can to gather the tares and the goats together for the burning. Doing a very good job, right, Mormon news reporter? And so, here we have a historical fall of the religious temple. On the 22nd, we now have, in 128 BCE, the Maccabees, still on a revolt, destroy the Danite temple on Mount Ephraim, the same Mount Ephraim that is Shechem in the Bible. This is what they called it. The Danites occupied the mount. That's why I call it the Danite Temple. I've done the videos for you. It's the time of the year and the time of the latter days to go over this with you. Destroyed. And thus the prophecies of the fall of the great and abominable church and the destruction of the great and abominable church's temple. Stopping the practice of the abomination of desolation, the forbidden rituals, and the prostitution. On the 22nd, 10 days away. Okay? And so, yes, again, I'm still frustrated as Oakes yet again confirmed signs in the heavens and the likeness of things on the earth. And yet we're just waiting for this. 4 things left. Everything has happened. This is established fact. Things on earth, likeness of, or the signs in the heaven. Fact. I've done numerous videos establishing the fact. I've run the tests for you. And yet this final 4 is all we have left. Okay, so the historical events that took place on the 26th in history. This is it. The first one was when 10 days later the Greeks began offering pig sacrifices and prostitution begins in the Jerusalem temple. 167 BCE, 10 days later. But in 164, 3 years later, BCE, the Maccabees got it back. The Syrian rebels took over Damascus. Not a coincidence. Interesting. But yeah, that same type of process. The Maccabean revolt got back their temple from the Greeks. And this is where Hanukkah begins. This is the whole celebration for Hanukkah every single year for the Jews. And so, thus it's the 8 days and has the 5th dark day of Hanukkah and has connections with prophecy and Revelation too. And so thus this is the first day of Hanukkah, technically on the 25th at 6 p.m. Both the Samaritans and the Jews did the Babylonian practice of 6 p.m. starts the next day. And so this set in order the temple. Section 85, verse 7. The one mighty and strong, that future Mormon. Okay? Everything has to do with you, Mormons, whether you believe it or you don't. These are facts. But we're just waiting for the final 4. So frustrating. And it will blow my brain, literally. You'll see my brains just explode. Like on Heroes. It's just where I got it from. Not to mention Mars Attacks. Should I put his theme song? That was awesome. I have that clip in the files. Stop! Don't run! We're your friends! Zap! We come in peace. They're just laughing at the humans who were so gullible. Dear God, we're all doomed. Alrighty, so thus begins Hanukkah. And so setting in order the temple. And so I'm hoping I'm in Zion. I'm hoping that I am putting out the call to Mormons from Zion, if you watched the video the other day. Come to Zion, come to Zion. Alrighty. And so setting in order the temple also applies to the biblical, Samaritan biblical, event of Noah's Ark landing on Mount Ephraim. Remember Shechem? This is the 28th. Still in Hanukkah. And so, as Matthew chapter 24 says, as in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the latter days. And so, thus, the 28th is as it was in the days of Noah for the latter days. It's actually the final year of the latter days. And we're actually in the next year. Not the religious calendar, though. We still have 3 more months, because we're about to enter into Tevet on the 1st of January. Okay, so on the 30th, this is the 5th dark day of Hanukkah. This is the new moon. I didn't put new moon. I just made it all biblical, because the Maccabee story talks about the miracle of the candelabra, the menorah, the lamps of the 10 virgins. As December is 10. I did that video for you the other week or something about this. And so, Joseph Smith translation, Revelation chapter 12 verse 4. And yeah, because in 2017 it was Revelation chapter 12 verse 3. And then 4 in 2018 was Monson dying, verse 4. The big event. This was the 17th of December 2017, on the 5th dark day of Hanukkah. And then, going back to the church news to see what happened on that day, because I didn't know and didn't see any event on earth. So I was confused. Because the 23rd of September happened, and the quadrantid meteor showers falling from the tail of the dragon, that happened. Monson died. So what happened on the 17th of December? I didn't know. I didn't catch it. So I went checking. Sure enough, something happened. And it relates to all this. The abomination of desolation of the temple, with prostitution and forbidden rituals. Way to go, Nelson. Good job. Monson is on his deathbed. He's not doing anything. He's got dementia and diabetes. He's about to die in a coming day. Days. It's still days, because it's not less than a week. And Nelson is doing things with Monson's signature. And on the 17th, in fulfillment of prophecy, with revelation, sign in the heavens, in the likeness of things on the earth, on the 5th dark day of Hanukkah, Nelson uses Monson to claim that 11-year-old girls can now go to the temple. Prostitution of 11-year-old girls. Do you honestly not believe that Lucifer would stoop that low? Are you that naive about the evils that this church will go to? Are you still in denial that they can't be that bad? Dum 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 dum. South Park reference to the Joseph Smith episode. To turn it back on him. And so thus we get to the first day of Tevet, the 10th month. 10 virgins, wedding supper feast of the Lamb at the Zion Temple. Thus, why it brought to mind the temple marriages being dissolved is that those who come to Zion can get properly wedded to each other that they love, not through prostitution. Because this is the story of Esther, Ishtar, who is Isis from the Egyptians. Babylon had conquered Judah, taken hostages, raped the women to breed them as Babylonians. And then some 50-ish years, plus or minus, could be exactly 50, I don't remember, I don't have the reference in front of me. Persia conquers Babylon. They didn't last very long. Persia comes in and sets the Jews free. They still have to pay tribute to Persia, but they're free, relatively speaking. They just got a new landlord. A landlord who's not raping the women. And so the story of Esther is put into this context. And I probably should have checked. We still can, I guess. Brave the internet, risking getting frozen again. One of the world's oldest Esther scrolls comes home. Also known as the Megillah. Okay. Mid-15th century. But it's back in Jerusalem. That's interesting. Hello? God. It's just unbelievable. They've frozen this system. Dear God. Attacking me on a Jewish website. Good job, guys. I'm sure that's not racist hate whatsoever. Unbelievable. So yeah, mid-15th century. That's the oldest that has been found. This is a more fuller scroll, but it's not big. Blow it up, guys. Come on. Yeah, so medieval scroll is the oldest existing one. But, like I said, and as you know, it's from the Latin Vulgate as well as the Septuagint, and thus contained in the biblical Hebrew text as well. But the oldest existing document came from the 1400s, mid-1400s CE. Okay, so again, you need to run the test to make sure that there's no Christian elements in it. And since it has nothing to do with Jesus or Christianity of the Roman period time, you're pretty safe that it won't. But scholars are aware of the phonetic connections of Esther and Ishtar, Mordecai and Marduk. The Babylonian temple of Ur, yeah, that's Marduk's temple. It is not the temple of Babel. Dear God. Dum, 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 dum. But you get Mormons who are in the National Guard who go out to Iraq and see the Marduk temple ruins and go, whoa, the Tower of Babel. They come back and tell Mormons, yeah, I saw the Tower of Babel. It was so cool. No. Babel was Beirut, Lebanon. No. Nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Nope, nope, nope. Okay? And so, there's some interesting sexual stuff that's going on here in the story of Esther. The first wife, queen, is ordered by the Persian king to dance naked before his male guests. And she says, hell no, and divorces him. She's gone. She wants out. Right, Brigham? How many women did you do that to that divorced you? And so, then Esther is selected to be presented to the Persian king to, do the dating game to find out who to marry to replace the queen. And Esther is the one chosen. And this January 1st date is the biblical traditional date for that. Okay? So the 10 virgins going to the temple for the wedding at the Temple of Zion with the one who takes back the kingdom. And so you don't want to get too literal with this, because this wasn't a real story. This is prophecy and revelation. And you see how multiple failures of wives are also prophesied here as a pattern. And so the Persian king is in prophecy the Mormon who restores Mormons and sets in order the temple and lets them go back and be free, and they go to Zion, the promised land, Jerusalem. They get to go back to the promised land. Okay? Really that simple. And so Esther is in this context the one who becomes the Mormon Christ's wife in Zion and is representative of all the Mormon women who are set free from the prostitution bondage of this church and go to Zion and get married properly to somebody they love and who loves them. And we are a happy family. Okay, so Revelation 19, Doctrine and Covenants 58, for further information about that, which is an upcoming video. It's on the list. But today is 9/11. Who knows? Who knows? You may have to wait to get to Zion. Because in Zion, I'll give you a preview, teaser. I plan on doing a full textbook manual on learning Egyptian, since I'm the one who deciphered it. It's kind of up to me to do it for you, but it's a Zion project. This is my focus this whole latter days. I knew it when I learned of the solar eclipse that was coming over the whole United States, that America was going to fall. So I knew, being the only person on the face of the earth who knew this information and had access to knowing this information, I immediately finished up the script research, got it published, and began focusing on signs in the heavens in the likeness of things on the earth with biblical scriptural prophecies. And so this is why I do what I do, in case you're brand new and you're still listening this far in. And so, yes, all the signs are to be translated. Gardner's Egyptian sign list is lacking. Just go over the sign list with the facsimiles of the larger pictures. You won't find them, at least most of them. And so yes, there's a whole bunch of Egyptian hieroglyphs that are not listed and thus are not being translated. And so, and some of which they do know how to translate, but aren't. For example, facsimile number 2. They know what it is. It's a representation of the sun, because it's a circle. But they're not translating it. They don't understand how to translate Egyptian, even though they've got PhDs. And they're so cool, telling everybody that Joseph Smith was wrong, and yet Joseph Smith got it right. Chapter 3 of the book of Abraham, what's it about? Yeah, Joseph knows. You should have trusted Joseph, Mormons, and you didn't. And now you've taken away translator from him, as none of the prophets used translator as a title. Okay, so that's a Zion project for me, because it's going to be massive. I've got fonts for Egyptian, but again, it's lacking. So I've got to create fonts, and I can't create fonts. I don't know how. So instead, what I'll do is any of the signs that are remaining, I'll find the carving or the papyrus scroll of them and do a cut to make the picture the font. And so it will take lots of work. It'd be great to have a real computer back in the old days that were faster than humans. None of this algorithm stuff that buffers because it's trying to think of how to project what you're wanting to do. Dear God. And now they're using AI, and that's even worse, because now they're buffering to figure out what to create for what you want. And because of so much power it takes for it to create an answer, rather than just give it to you, as the original computers used to do. They're now trying to say, hey, can we have access to a nuclear power plant? We promise not to use AI to cause a meltdown. I warned you. You don't listen, there are consequences. Dear God. So the final day. If nothing happens in the likeness of things on the earth, I quit. Seriously. To have all these signs in the heavens, to have all these scriptural prophecies, to have all the historical events tying to the signs in the heavens and the biblical prophecies, and then nothing. After everything, even Oaks again demonstrates it. To have nothing, it's just gonna blow my mind. I have to quit. There is no fruit. Despite everything happening and being fulfilled, the final thing that was necessary to be fulfilled, for which everything is leading up to, fails. No fruit. Yeah, I quit. I have to. My whole mission in life was in vain. Mormons will not be saved. We'll all be doomed. Governor Cox will knock on Mia Love's door and say, I'm here to take you to jail so that you can be transferred to Haiti. Yeah, I understand that there were 200 killed this past week from the gangs. But Trump's orders. Sorry, Mia Love, you showed Trump no love. You gotta go. Consequences. So I have no idea if Democrats are just going to roll over and die, or if they're actually going to fight. MAGA is waiting to fight. Even if you roll over to die, they're still going to make sure that you die. They're ready. They're not able to wait. They're already doing it. Right? Strengthening church members committee. And so, yeah, we know the Democrats are the ones who are more licensed than MAGA. But MAGA are the violent ones. MAGA are the aggressive ones. MAGA are the ones that like to claim victim against innocent, unarmed people who want revenge for what they themselves caused. So yeah, it's going to be a sad day if we cannot go to Zion, if this is an utter failure. And so, the final day of Hanukkah also corresponds with the quadranted meteor showers at the tail of Draco the dragon. So the Joseph Smith translation, I mean, again, dear God, if it fails, after Monson happened, according to prophecy, signs in the heavens, the curse of Joseph Smith, and here we come again. The Joseph Smith translation, by moving verse 5 to verse 3, he made verse 3 become part of verse 4. And so this final year shows how Joseph Smith was brilliant and knew this. That Hanukkah is connected with the quadranted meteor showers on the final day of Hanukkah. By taking the separated 2017-2018 signs in the heavens and then combining them together, boom. And Mormons are not listening to this. Mormons don't believe and are not listening to this. And I don't know if there are any out there who are listening to this. This is yet another confirmation that Joseph Smith is a seer, revelator, prophet, and translator. And Mormons don't believe. And so Mormons don't see it. And so, yes, it's not a coincidence that this is the 7th year since Monson died. And there are precedents for this same day pattern. 8 April 2024. 2020 years earlier, on 8th April 4 CE. And that sign was Abraham sacrificing Isaac. And it's in the Book of Mormon. Not just literally by referring to Abraham sacrificing Isaac, but also, notice they say he sacrificed Isaac in the Book of Mormon. It's not literal history. The solar eclipse happens. And so thus the story needs to be told that Isaac dies. But the biblical Genesis author, to show that it happened in Aries, puts the ram into the story. But Isaac asks, where's the lamb for the sacrifice? Revelation 19. The Lamb of God. Okay? 7 years. And so, yes, at 1 a.m. on that Feast of Tabernacles, every single day, and on the 4th day, I said, fine, yes, we'll do the video on Samuel to Eli. Fine, I get it, I understood it on the first night. You don't have to. But nonetheless, I did the video on the 4th day. And so, yes, 2 sets of 7. 4 days at the 7th hour of the day. 1 a.m. because 6 p.m. starts the next day. I knew and understood. There's a whole bunch of 7s that are involved. A whole bunch of 8s that are involved. Because technically 8 years. And thus, these holy weeks, starting on the 15th for the abomination of desolation, not a coincidence. And so that's why I'm very curious about the Irene dream that I had on 9/11 this year. Our 9/11. That morning, when I intended to retire that morning, I have the dream. Don't retire yet, Travis. You have 2 more sets of 15 coming up. And I thought, oh, okay, Passover and the Feast of Tabernacles. No. So then I thought, oh, the Judah Feast of Tabernacles and the House of Israel Feast of Tabernacles. No. Crap. Because they know how frustrated I am about extending this. And why they couldn't tell me from the beginning, I'll never know. Until the 15th of this month. So we'll see. We shall see. Because is it going to be the 15th of December or the Jewish, which is most likely, which is the next day, but still. I'm paying very close attention because I know this is it. And if it doesn't happen, it ain't ever going to happen. And so, yes, I am very anxious, having waited for my whole life I've been waiting for this moment for all of my life. Oh, Lord. There it is. Don't lose that one. Coming in the air. First heard that on Miami Vice. Which is interesting because I wasn't able to watch Moonlighting in my final years, and yet somehow was able, well, Miami Vice was on Fridays, that's why. Whereas I think Moonlighting was on another day of the week. It could have even been Sunday, but if it was on Sunday, I still should have been able to watch it, unless something else was taking its place on another channel. We only had 3. I think it was ABC for Moonlighting, wasn't it? But anyway. Oh well. So yeah. So do I need to go over the other? See, there's the 18th. We covered that one. Okay, that was the remainder of those. I did do the Hanukkah picture collection, and I did write it down to go over that with you. So, oh wait, this is Kislev. Crap. Sukkot 2024 Feast of Israel Tent Signs. Hanukkah, there it is. Okay. So we'll get rid of that one. This one again. We'll just quickly go over it. So this is the 25th for the evening. And there's the moon. Right, I had to turn it upside down. So yeah, by the 30th it'll be the new moon. So the Cancrids are there with Mars, but I didn't see them peaking. We should probably check to see if I need to make an editing on the chart. Because if the Cancrids are going to peak this month, we do need to cover this. When do the Cancrids peak? January 17th each year, with only 4 meteors per hour. Okay, so this won't happen until after everything is said and done, but right before Trump takes office, if he's going to take office. Okay. Yeah, good. Because AI is saying it's December 12th and 13th. But that's Delta Cancrids. They're saying Tau Cancrids. But this is Delta. Yeah, it's not the Tau. It is Delta. I see the Delta lowercase for the Cancrids. So that is the 17th, not the Tau Cancrids. But the Tau Cancrids, where are the Tau Cancrids? It's supposed to be the 12th and 13th. Why are they not showing? Geminid meteor showers. I'm going to have to check on this, because there wasn't, but it was saying 12th and 13th. But again, it's AI. You can't trust AI for anything. They lie about everything. And I do not see, it's definitely the Delta. And so maybe it's below where I have the date and time thing up. So I'll check on it. If I can find it, I'll put it in and make the changes. But that's important, because that's tonight and tomorrow. So we kind of need to do it, don't we?